Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Unlocking Tampa Bay. I am your host, Bryan Burns, and joined, as always, by my wonderful co-host, Molly Barbieri.
Hey, everyone. Welcome back to our studio.
And we're really excited today to have Captain TJ Couch with us from Pirate Water Taxi. We're going to talk about Pirate Water Taxi, exactly what it is. It's the 10th anniversary of Pirate Water Taxi, which they celebrated earlier this year in February, and that goes throughout the rest of the year. But really, first, I just wanted to ask you, how do you become a captain with Pirate Water Taxi? What does that involve?
Well, you have to be credentialed as a merchant mariner.
Which I assume
first.
you are.
I am.
Okay.
I am. To have a license to operate the passenger service, you first have to get your merchant mariner credentials. That takes 720 days at sea as a practical instruction learning experience. And then there's about 10 days of classroom training, a whole battery of tests, and then final background check and approval by the Coast Guard.
Yeah. The 720 days that you're talking about, is that with people on board, or is that just kind of by yourself? Like, what does that involve?
A commercial ship of a certain tonnage, basically, will qualify you for different sized ships, essentially.
So, thanks for doing this with us. I just want to kind of recap quickly for people who may not live here or may not have ever heard about it. Can you kind of give like a quick little recap of what Pirate Water Taxi is?
Sure. Pirate Water Taxi, we like to say, is transportainment, in that we provide a link through the downtown Tampa area, using the water as a method of getting from point A to point B. But while we have guests on board, we also tell the stories of Tampa, entertain them. We have a pirate theme, of course, to go along with the pirate culture here in Tampa.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a very fun attraction in Tampa, because I feel like in downtown, when you're just kind of like walking about, like there's so much to see, but then also like when you look in the Hillsborough River, like you just kind of see these like yellow boats and they kind of look like buses, and like everyone's like, oh my gosh, what are those? And like I love being able to say, oh, that's the Pirate Water Taxi. Like you can hop on, hop off. It goes all around the Hillsborough River. Like it's just very, I don't know, it's very eye-catching. It's very exciting. It's a really cool thing that we have, and I think it's pretty unique to Tampa. I personally haven't seen it anywhere else.
I haven't seen it anywhere else.
Yeah, I don't know if you have.
And we have 10 different stops that are part of our regular service, and you're correct, guests are able to jump off, hop off at any of the stops, explore, go ashore, have something to drink, something to eat, and then come back on board the same vessel and continue their journey and continue the tour.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it really touches a lot of spots on the river, because I mean, we also have through Visit Tampa Bay, we have a Riverwalk attraction pass, and it's a one ticket that gets you into 7 different attractions along the Tampa Riverwalk, a few museums, a few different activities, some tours, stuff like that. And Pirate Water Taxi is a part of that, and we really love to promote that you can use that as a part of the pass, but it's also your transportation to get in between all of the different attractions. So it's just kind of like a nice little, I don't know, nice little tool for downtown.
It is. And it's also a great value.
It is. It is a really great value.
If you're, so like say you're on the Riverwalk and you're at Curtis Hickson Park and there's a stop right there, I know, right outside the park. Can you just go up to that stop, and when a Pirate Water Taxi comes by, are you able to jump on? Do you have to set that up in advance? Like, how does that work?
It works much like a taxi, in that when you see the vessel approaching, you give the captain a big wave and they pull the boat in and take you on board. We recommend that you purchase tickets in advance, of course, but you can just jump on and buy from the crew on board the vessel while it's underway.
So that's kind of how it works. You could just like throw your hand up and say taxi, you know, like you're in New York City or something like that, and that's how catch your attention. And how do you ever have problems where people are just waving because they see you going by and they think it's cool to see the Pirate Water Taxi, and then you're like, we didn't really want you to stop?
Yeah, that does happen. We bring the vessels in close and shout out, you know, looking to ride, and try to play the mind reading game sometimes.
What is your kind of what does your day to day look like when you're getting ready for, to start up the day for Pirate Water Taxi and to get the vessel, the first one of the day out on the water? Like, how do you have to get everything ready to do that?
Well, we start our route at 11:30, 7 days a week, and of course run later on weekends. And the first task is a safety check of the vessel. Make certain that all the life-saving equipment is on board, ready to go. And then you go through the mechanical systems of the vessels. And, that's checking the oil, checking the coolant, checking the transmission. And then you actually fire up the vessels and kind of do a little test on the dock before you drop lines. If there is, it's rare, but sometimes it doesn't work the way you want it to.
Yeah.
And you still want to be tied up, when that happens. And then we give them a thorough cleaning and make certain that they're spick and span and ready for guest service.
Awesome. So it's been 10 years of Pirate Water Taxi, which is awesome. I mean, that's crazy to kind of think about that it's been
It feels
a whole
like it's
decade.
been here the whole
I know.
time,
It's really woven itself into the DNA of Tampa Bay, and
Absolutely.
I really do love that. So it's been 10 years, and so you all are doing a continuous loop now to celebrate for the 10-year anniversary. So can you talk about that a little bit? There was the loop that was just kind of on the river, and then there was the islands loop, and now there's one continuous loop?
Right. We had our routes. We had two different routes essentially, and it caused us to have a central hub, and guests would have to transfer from one boat to the other. We've upgraded our fleet now, and we're running identical vessels all the time. And that allows guests to hop on, and if you want to stay on board, that vessel will make the entire trip and then return back to where you started from about an hour and a half later.
Okay, so that's a nice little boat ride too, even if you just kind of wanted to hop on and hear some stories from Pirate Water Taxi.
Yeah, sometimes it's not
crew.
even about trying to get from point A to point B.
Yes.
Sometimes it's just about getting out on the water and enjoying the day and seeing Tampa from a different perspective.
Yeah.
And the nighttime cruises, of course, are very popular. You get to see some of the sunset afterglow in the sky.
Yeah,
and
it's
of course,
gorgeous.
our downtown is absolutely beautiful with all of the city lights.
And the buildings can be so beautiful with the reflection of the sunset because they're all glass, or not all of them, but a decent amount of them are glass. So when you're looking at downtown from a certain angle, it can just be so beautiful. It can be very alluring. So
what are some of the, so if you do the continuous loop, what can a guest, where can they go on that loop?
Well, if you start from our primary dock, which is halfway between each end of the loop, it's right in front of the Tampa Convention Center. And the vessel will travel up the Hillsborough River to the Tampa Heights neighborhood. Of course, there's Armature Works and Waterworks Park.
Is that that's the end of that? And going up the river, Armature Works is kind of the end of the, I guess, the northern route.
That's right. Right now, we are always looking to expand. When possible, with the addition of Rome Yard going in, we expect that we'll travel up the river to that area.
Oh, wow. That'll be great.
And eventually, we hope to head up the river all the way to Zoo Tampa.
Oh.
That's a game changer.
That is a game changer. That would be interesting.
And
because I feel like that's it's a fun way to travel, but it's also if you can take that long of a boat ride and it be an experience in itself, you're just making it so much more worth it for a trip down to Tampa Bay.
Yeah. Because there's so many things to do in downtown Tampa. I think going up to Zoo Tampa could be a little bit of a hike for someone, especially if you're just downtown and you're staying in that corridor and maybe you don't have a car and the public transportation takes a little bit longer to get up there. So Pirate Water Taxi would be a great way to see Zoo Tampa.
That'd be awesome.
And we'd, of course, give a ecology tour as we head up the river and talk about the Tampa watershed and the estuaries and the more natural elements that you'll see on the trip.
When do you think that might happen? Or is that still kind of in the planning stages? Or is that something that is definitely going to happen? It just needs to be put into motion?
I think it's definitely going to happen. We do have to fabricate a vessel that'll travel a little bit faster, however, to make it feasible. But we literally have the plans and the materials, and it's on the list.
Love that.
And so with the new ships that you guys have, they're a little sleeker kind of looking ship. They're black, which gets away from kind of the yellow that's kind of ubiquitous with Pirate Water Taxi. They have nice like teak wood flooring. There's a bar inside. Like they're really, really nice ships. Can you talk about how well, those have been received so far by the public since you kind of introduced them into your lineup?
Yeah, folks are really enjoying it, and it just the ease of getting on and off the vessels is a real benefit, game changer. All of our stops now have a floating dock, and so the deck of the ship lines up with the dock.
Yeah.
There's only an inch or two difference depending on weather conditions and how loaded the boat is. They have wide boarding ways. It's much more comfortable. And you're right. They're sleek and very efficient as well. They have Tier 3 diesel engines in them, so they're the most cleanest and most efficient way to move a ship through the water, and unless we were going to run up sails.
Yeah.
So how many ships or vessels did you add to the fleet that you currently have? So like, what is your total now?
Well, if you look at the Pirate Water Taxi fleet, we have 6 vessels that we routinely use for passenger service. There are a couple of more that are more utility vessels for our use, but they are certified for passenger use only. They're smaller to scoot under the low bridges at a very high tide.
How is it captaining the newer ships?
They're a pleasure to operate.
Are they any different from the older ones?
They are.
They are?
Yeah. They handle like a much larger vessel.
Yeah.
The original boats have outboard engines and a pontoon type setup. And while they're stable and able to carry a lot of passengers for the size, the pontoon boats just don't handle very well. They're affected more by current and wind, and they're just not as maneuverable. Whereas our new vessels are inboard diesels with rudders, and we're able to, I call it making the boat sing and dance.
Yeah.
You can make it do anything
it's
you want.
It's much more intuitive to how you're driving.
Yeah, if you're used to driving larger vessels, it is intuitive.
Okay.
Yeah.
So when you talked about, we were getting a little bit into like the loop that you can take with Pirate Water Taxi going up north to Armature Works. So like when you come back down, you're obviously coming along the Riverwalk, you come by the convention center. Then how far back do you go? Like you pass the arena, and like how far back that way do you go?
We do. We continue our route with stops at Harbor Island, at the Tampa Bay History Center, Sparkman Wharf, Yacht Starship, Craft, and then we continue past the cruise ship terminals to the Florida Aquarium and the American Victory ship.
Yeah. And
we have a stop there as well.
Awesome.
And you come back down, and do you go around Davis Island still, or what is Davis Island part of kind of the circuitous loop?
It is. At the moment.
At the moment.
At the moment. We continue to refine and revise and adjust timetables and try to be the best service that we can.
Yeah, absolutely.
So with these new ships, there's more. So is that opening up opportunity for, I guess, like a more frequent schedule?
That's correct. And it allows us to increase the number of vessels operating. So the wait time in between another vessel coming to pick you up is much less.
Yeah, probably.
And it gives us the flexibility to adjust and increase that frequency as demand requires.
And you can fit more people on the newer vessels, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So it's 49 passengers, and then do you know off the top of your head what the old ones were?
The pontoon style vessels, each one was slightly different, ranging from 29 up to 46.
Okay.
And then we have our flagship, if you will, is Captain Jack 2, and that's a very beefy vessel that can carry,
I like that.
that can carry up to 100 passengers.
Oh, wow.
Oh, my goodness. Okay. I wasn't expecting that. I don't know why. That's awesome.
Could someone rent, would a company, could they rent out a pirate water taxi vessel and use it for like some kind of a corporate retreat or just a fun day out on the river?
We love our charters, actually. And from a captain's perspective, charters are a lot of fun to do because then there's some flexibility. If the client wants to see something in particular, we can probably go there.
You don't necessarily have to follow a prescribed route. You can kind of tailor it a little bit more.
Right, sure. And we're able to take folks out to watch the sunset out in the Hillsborough Bay for an unobstructed view. We have catering options to bring aboard, so it can be a team building retreat. We can have hors d'oeuvres available. And on the new taxis, we've actually built a table that sits on top of the center benches in the vessel, and we have oversized games, essentially.
That's so much fun.
Yeah, giant beer pong and ring toss, and you can divide your team up and have a little friendly competition on the water while you sip a drink and cruise the harbor.
That would be a really great birthday party idea.
Celebration.
Yeah.
Sounds like a great day.
I know, actually. It's honestly even just like a Saturday.
Can we go ahead and sign up? When do we do this? So I think one of the cool things about pirate water taxi, and you'd mentioned this before, where it's not just transportation, you're also getting entertained as well while you're taking a trip. And as the captain, now I know when I've gone on pirate water taxi, there's always someone that's kind of, almost like a comedy show. Like they're kind of telling some jokes or telling stories about what you're seeing as you pass by. Is that something that you do? Is there someone else that is on the boat with you that is kind of telling the stories, or are you kind of the storyteller as well as you're captaining the boat?
Usually, the deckhand will do the primary narration and tour and interaction, but every captain also knows the stories
and the fun and little tidbits.
And fills in. That sometimes the deckhand needs to jump behind the bar to serve a refreshing beverage, and while that's happening, or sell a ticket, and while that's happening, the captain will pick up the narration.
Do you have favorite stories or just things that are of interest to you, interesting to note as you're shuttling passengers, either up or down the river, like places that I'm definitely telling, these visitors about this specific spot because I have a really good story about this?
Yeah, personally, I like to go on and on about the bridge that goes across the river at Laurel Street.
Okay.
Of course, it's been renamed to the Madam Fortune Taylor Bridge. And she was a freed slave that came to Tampa with a land grant after the Civil War and planted citrus groves along the river and operated a successful bakery in what was growing into downtown Tampa. The bridge itself is a natural habitat for Mexican free-tailed bats. There's a colony that lives in the crevices of the bridge, and they come out in mass at dusk and go on a mosquito hunt. So we love our bats. They're natural pollinators, and of course they knock down the mosquito population in downtown.
Always thankful for that.
Yeah,
yes.
They're the real ones.
Yeah.
And then, of course, when the Hollywood blockbuster The Punisher was filmed in Tampa, that bridge was used in the final scene where they jumped a stunt car from one side of the river to the other.
Oh my
wow.
goodness.
Yeah.
I didn't see
That's
that. Did you see that? maybe?
insane. I did actually. Yeah.
Okay. What bridge was that they
That one.
Yeah, the Laurel.
the same one?
Yeah, that's the
Laurel
Laurel
Bridge.
one
Okay.
that goes.
There's several different kinds of opening bridges on the river.
Mhm.
You have the bascule bridges, which open in the center. The Laurel Street Bridge is a Warren Pony Truss Bridge, and it opens to one side. So it makes a natural ramp, essentially. So they just had to open it up partially and shoot the car across.
Oh
Yeah.
my goodness.
And then if you go farther up the river, you can get into a bobtail swing bridge, which is a turntable bridge at Columbus. And then if you go up to Hillsborough Avenue, it's a chain lift bridge where the span is held up by towers and the entire span lifts.
Lift straight up like
Mhm.
that. Wow. I didn't realize we had that many
I didn't either.
different kinds of bridges in Tampa.
The Hillsborough River is unique in that pretty much every single type of movable span bridge exists in our river, all within a 7-mile area.
That's very interesting.
That is very
And
interesting.
thankfully, pirate water taxi, you don't need to raise the bridges for you guys to go underneath them because they're so sleek and low profile that they
They
can
are
just
so
go
sleek.
right under, right?
That's right.
And that's even going up to Zoo Tampa. You don't have any issues with that. You'll still be able to clear underneath all of the bridges.
We will.
If that hopefully happens soon.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Captain,
Thank you.
thank you so much for coming in, talking to us about pirate water taxi. We see it up here. We're on the 29th floor of the PNC Tower downtown. And, we look out our window and we see you guys floating by throughout the day. And we're wishing that we could be on the pirate water taxi at those times because it's always such a, it's a fun time on the boat. And it's just such a great way to see Tampa. It's a great way to see the river, which we're utilizing now more so than we ever have in our cities past. And it's just such a great time to be a part of pirate water taxi and a part of that experience. And thank you for adding to that, adding your captain's expertise as well as your facts about, unique things that are along the way as you traverse up and down the river.
Yeah, holding down the fort.
My pleasure. It's a dream job.
All right.
Awesome.
And that was another episode of Unlocking Tampa Bay. Join us next time as we unlock more treasures around Tampa Bay.